It's coming back. We used to have our meetings at the community hall there at Terrible Police Station, and then COVID came along. And being seniors, we scattered like, like chickens. But COVID is getting under control slowly but surely. And the last thing in the world I figured that seniors or practically anyone else wants to do is to go sit in a closed room on chairs right next to one another and have people talk to you. So that was our old format. And I thought, that's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going outdoors. And many of you have heard from Angie Pettit-Taylor. And we've joined Angie, and we are going to be part of the Sunset Wellness Mercantile. We will be at the same location as the Sunday Farmers Market that is on right there alongside Sunset Boulevard between Ortega and Pacheco. And I'll be in a tent. A half tent will travel. And basically, instead of the old format where everybody's in a closed space, it's going to be outdoors. It's going to be more of an exhibit space. And what we're going to be exhibiting is seniors, their talents, their hobbies, their interests, and it'll be like a kind of drop-in senior center, if you will, if you can imagine that. And I have some good talent lined up for the first time we will be opening, which will be on April 8th from 9 to 1. And basically the talent, I have a watercolorist, Mr. James Mao, who has just took up the brush, if you will, with COVID starting. And I have some beautiful watercolors that he has done, which we're going to exhibit. I have another senior who is Mr. Succulent, and he's going to be bringing his gardening hobby, some of his succulents that he is now engaged in. And we're going to have a poetry reading. Now, every month, when we come back in May, there'll be a new group of seniors with their talents and their shows and their hobbies. So I hope you all know a senior and can refer them to me and have them join the show. Thanks, Albert.
Okay, thank you. I just also want to just make a quick announcement. The Council of District Merchants is going to have a virtual gala this year. And I'm going to be part of the team with the council to kind of put this together. It's going to be like about a dozen people doing this. But one of the things we want to do is film a short video of every corridor, and there's 34 corridors to do as part of this gala presentation. And so one of them, of course, will be Pops. So I was hoping to shoot the farmers market and maybe a couple of, nice dynamic areas on Terraville. So it will be short. It'll probably be like a 2-minute video, but I think that'll be enough to make just to make like a quick commercial of Terraville Street and just show how we are coming back and getting re-engaged with the world again after this whole year of COVID. So I'll keep you guys updated. I think the video shoot will probably happen in the next probably 2 weeks. I think they were going to try to shoot this weekend, but rain's coming in, so they had to cancel that one. Okay, and that's it for the announcements right here. I'd like to now hand the reins over to Alan Wong. He's got some updates from Supervisor Gordon Marr's office. Alan, unmute. Alan.
Okay, there we go. Hey, thanks everybody for being here. Glad to see many of you. So I'm going to go over several things that have been happening in our office. So we've got the 2550 Irving Street Affordable Family Housing Development, the ADU fee waiver legislation, the Trucadero Clubhouse landmarking hearing that we've called for on violence and crime targeting Asians. request for interviews on this project that we're working on to create the Sunset Chinese Cultural District, and also just how we're working with SFPD to see if we can get some safety enhancements on Terravel. So so I'll just go in that order. So in January, the supervisor co-hosted a community meeting about the 2550 development, and we pushed for a robust community process to help the nonprofit developer Tenderloin, TNDC, draft a design. So they're very early in the process, and they're in the phase of gathering community input. So there'll be more community conversations in March, and there will be virtual meetings in April and May as well as office hours and opportunities to provide input online throughout the spring. So the Tenderloin Neighborhood Development Corporation, they're working with the mayor's office, housing and community development, as well as our office to develop a 100% affordable multi-family housing in San Francisco targeted for our essential workers. So this is the site of actually my bank. So the San Francisco Police Credit Union. So they're moving to a different location. So this would be the new thing that would be located there. So in the past decade, the Sunset, we've lost a whole bunch of affordable housing and rental homes, and so we haven't really done our share of getting new units to be built, even though the district's home to a lot of working families. So this is our chance to work on that. So currently the development as proposed to be an up to 7-story building that includes up to 100, a mix of 100 studios, 1, 2, or 3 bedroom apartments at a range of different affordable rents. And then 50% of the residential units will be 2 to 3 bedroom apartments. And then there's going to be 2,250 square feet of ground floor community space for the neighborhood. And then right now there'll be at least 11 on-site parking spaces, as well as bicycle parking. And then there's going to be green spaces, including the rear courtyard. So this isn't final. There's going to be community input that TNDC will be gathering. The development's intended to support family-friendly housing for San Francisco's essential workers, including households that earn between like 27 to 102K, and have jobs in fields like healthcare, childcare, education, and nonprofit services. So that's one of the big things that we're working on. So they've actually come up with a website. So their website is 2550irving.com. And so, they got an email list, and they've got an email for people to contact them to ask questions as well. And, of course, like we can help, our office can facilitate getting a hold of them as well, so that people can provide their feedback. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The other thing that we have been working on has been the ADU fee waiver legislation. So our office's legislation to waive building permit fees for ADUs, basically in-laws passed unanimously. So this waives permit fees for building inspections, plan review, records retention, and site surcharge. So in neighborhoods like the Sunset, the in-laws are really important to work on our housing crisis, because when we build more ADUs, it means more homes for renters and people who may otherwise be priced out, and it has minimal change on our neighborhood. So by waiving the permit fees, we're helping incentivize just regular homeowners to be able to get into this market to create affordable housing opportunities for people that are seniors and families. For my family, actually, like almost during the entire time that for me, I've lived in San Francisco, I've kind of been an in-laws. So for my family and me, in my almost our entire time in the Sunset, it's been the in-laws have really enabled my family to be able to afford to live in the Sunset. So the law is retroactive to January and would last through June 2023. So we're going to continue to see if we can find additional policies to try and remove more financial and technical barriers for ADU construction, so we can help regular homeowners just be able to support this, support getting more housing in our neighborhood. The next thing is the Trucadero Clubhouse landmarking. So we've been working on this project to designate the clubhouse inside Stern Grove as a historic landmark. So it was built in 1892, and it was the earliest building in the Parkside district and one of the city's last kind of examples of 19th century roadhouse that used to be all over Western and Southern San Francisco. So we worked with Parkside Heritage, San Francisco Heritage, the local neighborhood association, the Pine Lake Park Neighborhood Association, and the Sunset Parkside Education Action Committee to move this forward. So yeah, so we definitely thank them for partnering up with us. And then, the other thing is that we called for a hearing on violence and crime targeting Asians. So, as many of you have seen on the news recently, there's, I feel like this is almost as cyclical. It's almost like every, around Chinese New Year's, we start hearing about kind of crimes targeting Asian Americans. And so Supervisor Marr, he's called for a hearing to provide us the opportunity to see how San Francisco agencies can work to prevent and respond to such violent incidents, and how we can look into investing resources in the community to meaningfully work on developing a community public safety strategy. So that's one other thing that we're working for. Okay, Sunset Chinese Cultural District. So we're working with community leaders to create a Sunset Chinese Cultural District. And so what the district means is, it can help get us money for our neighborhood to fund stuff. So that's what the cultural district can do. So as a part of this process, we're working with San Francisco State University, Russell Jung and his graduate students to interview 50 families in the Sunset District to help our office get feedback on present day concerns like housing, community resources, and businesses that are important for Chinese American families. So the interviews that they do will help create the foundation and basis for creating the cultural district that many other communities in the city have, and provide support to the Sunset neighborhood. So later on I'll share a link to if you're interested in participating in the interviews to establish the Sunset Chinese Cultural District. And then lastly, there's been a lot of residential and commercial burglaries, as well as vehicular burglaries in our neighborhoods, right? So one thing that we're working on is, Supervisor Marr has been meeting with one of the assistant chiefs and just kind of getting feedback on how we can support the community. And so one of the assistant chiefs mentioned that they have this program with SF Safe for security cameras, like the one they have on Irving. So right now we're working to meet with SF Safe and SFPD to see how we can potentially bring that to Terraville as well. So on Irving, they've got security cameras located and at various merchant locations, and so when a crime happens, SF Safe has access to that footage. So we're looking into how we can potentially bring something similar to Terraville Street. Those are the updates that I have for this meeting.
Hey, Alan, you're talking about ADU permit waivers. Are there any other further business permit waivers or license waivers and stuff like that that are coming down the pipeline, or?
Right, I don't know of any right now, but I can definitely check and see if there's anything that may be coming up the pipeline that we may not have heard of yet.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like things are starting to pick up again. It'd be nice to have a little bit of support under all the merchants' feet so that they can, ease back into full operation as we go forward. Okay, right, cool. And I guess that Is there any questions from anybody on those subjects?
Christy has a
Christy?
question.
Christy?
Yeah, thank you, Alan, for update of what's going on, what's happening in Sunset. I actually did sign up for the Sunset Chinese Cultural Districts, and I learn more about it. And also the hate crimes on Asian, that's one of the major things that happening right now, and it's very concerned. That I'm so glad that Supervisor Mar is paying attention on it, because like we have a lot of seniors in the community, so the protection, it's a must to be there. And also the you mentioned about the housing project on Irving. So I think I agree that we have the needs to providing the housing there, but I wonder, like at this time, is it the project still has some rooms on the negotiation? Because I also attended all the Zoom meetings actually, and there's some voices around the neighbors, so surrounding neighbors. So I wonder, like how can we best to like participate or input our voice? So we are hoping that some modification possible can be add to it, or do you know?
Yeah, after I'm done talking, I'll put in the chat some of the links to get more information and also to participate in the community process. So there's going to be a lot more meetings to be held to gather feedback from the community. And I hear various concerns from folks in the neighborhood each day, and for me, I totally sympathize with many of them. Somebody that just grew up in the neighborhood, just hearing the concerns about just sort of the whether it be having the congestion or the parking, as well as just the density, right? So I definitely individually just kind of hear many of those concerns, and I see that many of them are valid, and so I think they are deserving of getting a voice through this process. So I'll provide you the link so that you can continue to hear more as they have more of these community meetings, so that you can make sure that your voice is heard throughout this process.
Yeah, because as a mother of three, my major concern is about the safety. I was at the Sunday events on Irving, and I heard from the merchant. One of the merchant mentioned that although the project, the two projects added together, 43rd in Irving, the teacher affordable housing, and also this one, add up together, it's going to be like increase at least 700 people there. But Supervisor Mar mentioned that during the merchant meeting, he confirmed that the number of police is not going to be increased, and also the public service like facility and the public transportation is not going to increase. So that bring up my concern too, because I take bus to work. I work in the downtown, so every morning after I drop off my kids, and then I'll take the muni to work. So all of a sudden increase so many people. Going to work on time, it becomes a issue. And also, when things, if anything happens, and the number of police is not going to enough, they don't have enough people to cover the things happening in the neighbor. So yeah, those are big concerns too, and it affects our daily life.
I can't hear you if you're still talking. Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. And another thing is like a lot of people we live in the Sunset because it's so expensive. So we have a lot of housing families. So 2-3 generation living in the same household, it's very normal. We see in our neighborhood, in our community. So I'm wondering if, would be nice if we can increase the priorities for this current Sunset residents. Increase it. Now I think it's up to 40%. So it would be nice if the number of percentage go up a little bit more, so we can, the building can benefit the Sunset community.
Yeah, I'd be interested in one of those. So I'd be interested in seeing if I can get affordable unit there. But yeah, definitely just looking into how we can get as much housing for our neighborhood residents as much as possible. And I kind of I definitely hear you on those kind of concerns about the density and the number of people, because for me, like I can't ever imagine leaving the Sunset because it's not as dense as other neighborhoods. We are able to to the park, or for me, like I run down on Terraville, on Santiago, and this I can kind of freely kind of run down the street and exercise and even do push-ups on the concrete and just not feel like it's crowded or dirty. So I totally understand those kind of concerns that you bring up. So I think as the process goes on, they'll definitely be listening to community input, and the things that you bring up are ensuring that there's the correct infrastructure, like public transit, enough public safety protection. I think they definitely merit listening to, and are very valid concerns. So I do encourage you to participate and continue to participate in the community process, so that we can make sure that whenever this is done, we achieve a good balance between all the different perspectives that are in the Sunset. So
yeah, thank you so much. So I don't want to take away too much time from this meeting, but maybe after the meeting, can I get your contact? Maybe because like I really wanted to see if is it possible to have a two-way communication with Gordon Marr, to address some of the of our concerns, if possible.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Good comments. Actually, Alan, when I first heard about the 2550 Irving, and I heard the occupancy ratio that you guys were shooting for, 40% Sunset, I thought it sounded a little bit off too. I agree with Christy. I would like to see 60% Sunset, maybe something like that would be more more easier for people to say, hey, okay, this project benefits the Sunset, rather than just inviting more people into the Sunset, because there is already some latent housing pressure inside our district as well. Yeah, anyway, thanks, Alan.
Can I say something quickly and ask Alan about the project?
Please.
For a project that size, to have only 11 parking spaces is really going to be really detrimental to the people who live there and the merchants. Although I'm not a merchant, I have heard the one thing that the merchants have, one of the biggest problems they have, is parking for customers. And I know the city's policy is people shouldn't drive, but people still have cars, they still need to drive. And if you're going to have a building that big, there has to be some way to create parking, maybe underground, even if it eliminates a little of, I don't know what, but how can 11 parking spaces be enough for a building that size?
Yeah, I share some of those concerns. So for me, like I drive a car as well, and so I can totally see that being a issue for residents, especially nearby, or just merchants, just being concerned about there having enough parking. So definitely should bring that up.
And Albert, are the
Mhm.
merchants on Irving Street working on that issue?
So we've been reaching out a lot to Bill Barnacle from OSMPA, Outer Sunset Merchants and Professionals Association. They're the Irving Street Merchants Group. So yeah, so we've got a mix of opinions on it as it stands.
Okay. Any more comments?
Actually, I do want to add up about the parking, because I live, you know, on Irving and 24th. Very difficult here. So I can't imagine, like, if you know, 100 unit adding up there. I don't assume everyone have a car, maybe half of them or 40% have car. That would be add to, you know, would be a very like a burden for the and it would be major effects for the merchants too. Because like when people come here for shopping, and if this is so difficult to find a parking, people might be just avoid coming. So currently, I recently walked around on Irving. We have like at least maybe 20 to 25 stores are vacant. So if it would be a big negative impact if the parking is a big issue in this neighborhood. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I know how that feels, because, you know, just like if you go to Richmond to go to Clement Street on Geary, right, you might have to circle like so many circles just to find a parking space. So, you know, that's why like I like going to like Irving and Taraval, because usually like when you park around there, you can find parking maybe two blocks away, right? As opposed to Clement, where sometimes you have to drive in circles and circles and park 6 blocks away or 7 blocks away just to be able to find a spot.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. I guess I will close out that section. And Alan, I might want to ask you to help me out on this one, but I was, you know, we put down Sunset Burglaries. We tried to get SFPD to come into our meeting today, but they're not available. However, I did want to just put an announcement that you guys might have heard that Footprint Shoes over on 27th and Taraval on the corner there, they got burglarized twice in the same night. I believe it was last Saturday or Friday, somewhere about 3 or 4 a.m. And just to let the merchants know, they have a glass front door, and what the perpetrator did was they used a blowtorch to heat the tempered glass until it shattered, and then were able to break in that way. And what happened was they went after clothing. They took North Face jackets, Columbia jackets, and then they came. I guess they must have filled their car or something. They came back a second time and then took away and stole the Atarax jackets and clothing as well. I don't know the dollar amount of the damage, but it was, I'm sure it was pretty bad. Plus also, you know, like, you know, the repair. I don't know if his insurance, you know, deductible covered that at all, but, you know, that's really a hard, you know, sad to hear. Also, I was told by Supervisor Marr that the True Value hardware store over on Oregon 39th was hit. And I don't know the time when that was, and I don't know how much was lost. But one of the things I did see, I did see Footprints video of the break-in. And once again, the cameras were too high, and the guys had baseball caps, and of course they're wearing the masks, and you can't ID anything. So I'm taking it upon myself just I talked to my security guy, and he's coming in on Monday, and we're going to try to get some cameras that are lower in the store facing the front door, just in case it happens to my business. But just passing along that it might be a good idea if you guys want to strategically have some cameras that put into your stores. Have something out on the street looking for license plates and cars that approach your place, as well as a camera that's, you know, kind of like eye level or a little bit lower so you can catch their faces. Because the footage that I think Michael got was pretty useless. You just couldn't ID the guy at all. So anyway, that's just a tough one for us. So Alan, I don't know, did you hear any progress on?
You know, like, so after we heard about the break-in, Supervisor Mar dropped in that morning, and then I dropped in later that afternoon to just visit Michael Michael's the business owner over at Footprint. So we went to visit and check in. So, you know, he mentioned that he had a lot of merchandise stolen, and I mean, they had burglars drop in twice that night. And so, you know, I talked to him about some of the community safety strategies that we'd be interested in. For him, he was most interested in getting security cameras and maybe kind of partnering up with different merchants along Terraville to see if they could potentially kind of get a good deal or a plan, because he saw that as sort of like a preventative measure that people would take, right? Because if once they break your windows and steal merchandise, even if you catch the perpetrator, it's kind of too late, right? So that was what he was most interested in. You know, I mentioned some of the other stuff that we're working on, like trying to expand community safety ambassadors. But one thing that he kind of came back with was, you know, for community safety ambassadors, usually at, you know, Terraville doesn't get that much street traffic and or foot traffic, and people that have been breaking in have usually been doing that during nights. So, you know, he made a good point about, you know, community ambassadors might be more appropriate for maybe Irving Street. So yeah, for him, he thought that cameras would be most effective. And then the insurance was another issue. I think he mentioned that his deductible was $1,000, and for him, yeah, that's a lot of shoes to sell in order to make back the money, was what he said. So, you know, that's another thing that he mentioned, maybe potentially joining with others to get a good deal on some of these things, whether it be security cameras or insurance, and by working with other merchants. So I think you know, that could be a potential thing to kind of reduce costs and kind of take preventative measures as well. One thing that we followed up on was seeing if we can just kind of get them some publicity and help boost their business. So yes, because Michael mentioned that, you know, shortly after the incident, he did get people, you know, dropping by his business to show their support and purchase some of their merchandise. And so we worked with Sunset Strong to just get them social media boost. So Sunset Strong is this kind of project that we've been working on to help promote local Sunset businesses. And so there's a nice little Instagram page. There's a website that they have where people can visit and learn about businesses in the Sunset. So yeah, so we're working to kind of boost their profile as well, and encourage people to support their business.
Yeah, that's good, but I guess having those security cameras on the street operated by SFPD, that would be a good thing too. Earlier when I think it was, or Alan, when you were presenting earlier, I put up a anonymous tip line here. So what happened was that SFPD walked the streets and did a little bit of a campaign to just get the word out that there is an anonymous tip line for any local crimes. They're trying to just do their best to, you know, work with everybody, community and merchants on the street in all of the major corridors in the Sunset. So this tip line, they speak Mandarin, Cantonese, and English, and they also have a email. So I put that all in the chat box. So just to let you know.
Yeah. So Jessica and I are part of this group called APAPA, and it's an organization that kind of promotes API civic engagement. And so some of the leaders in that group, like Stephen Lee, who you might know, who's a business owner, he and others really pushed the city and the police department to work together to create these Chinese tip lines. And so people from the APAPA group, they donated funds to create those business cards. And so we're hoping that people use the tip line, especially Chinese speakers, right? And a lot of 8s were included in the phone number, so that people would also kind of feel welcome to call the phone number as well. So they've got it's not like a number where like there'll be somebody just picking up every single phone call, but it'll be checked regularly, and so it'll be somebody that that is able to be bilingual and specializes in looking into these hate crimes. So definitely encourage spreading the word and letting more people know about this tip line that we have.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Appreciate all the work from Supervisor Marr's office side. Okay, so anyway, any questions about that? All right, we'll go ahead and move on. I'm going to have Josephine Zhao, one of our executive board members, talk to us about the current status of San Francisco Unified School District. I'm sure some of you parents out there are interested in what is going on. Josephine, I'm going to let you co-host here too.
Great. Well, thank you, Albert. Thanks, Pops. So my day job really, I am a parent liaison at one of the biggest elementary school in the city. It's located in Chinatown. So it gives me a lot of inside knowledge of what's going on within the schools, within the school district, and as well as in the community, right? So as you know that there are a lot of things going on with the school district, and the school board really is about the school board. So for those who don't know the structure of the SFUSD, is really there are 7 people sitting at a school board, and then they manage the superintendent. The superintendent have then he represents the whole structure of school district, the central district, right? And then it goes down to each school, and then each school has a team of admins with principal, assistant principal, and then teachers and staff, cafeteria workers. So it's a hierarchy. A lot of people confused about the school district versus the school board and versus who's managing whom, right? So right now the school board is in a lot of hot water, and there is a effort. Let me share screen. There's an effort to recall them at this point. Let me see, how do I share screen? So sorry, okay. So, oh, what happened to my screen? Okay, can you guys see the screen? Can you see the website of Recall SF School Board?
We see Book Nook. At least I do.
Oh,
I mean, that's not quite it.
it's not it. Can you guys see this one now? Oh, okay, let me try again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know how to share screen now. But anyways, okay, so I'm just gonna talk about it since here it is. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, great.
you
All right.
got it.
Okay, thank you. So there is a website being created, and then two regular parents working at tech jobs. They happen to be boyfriend, girlfriends living together, having 5 kids from their previous marriages. They just couldn't deal with it anymore. So these are the 3 school board members being recalled. They were all elected in the 2018 cycle. They are eligible to be recalled, and actually the parents wants to recall all of them except maybe Jenny Lam and Kevin Bogies, who sided with the parents during the school opening and law issue. But then the other 2 the other two school board members are not eligible to be recalled because they just got elected last November. It will be 6 months if they were to be eligible to be recalled. And so some of the main issues, so this website listed 30 reasons why school board needs to be recalled. Most importantly, really, I think it's not able to open. Basically, they highlighted all of the public school districts in the across the nations are able to open, but we have not. We missed the boat on the California state's funding to give us 23 millions to reopen by February, and we missed that. We missed multiple markers to reopen. The first plan from the SF, the school district, the admin side of the school district, the central, was January 25th. They already made plans, and then there was another deadline to open in February, and we missed that. And then there's another deadline by the end of the February to be eligible for funding. We missed that. So parents are getting pretty frustrated. The 1-year anniversary for school closing is coming up on March 16th. So 1 year ago, March 16th, that's when pandemic happened and the schools have to close. And then we also have to note that over 120 private and parochial schools in our city has all reopened since August. So the school district is not able to, school board is not able to make our school district reopen. That's becoming a very frustrating issue. So the reason, so the status of why the school district is not able to open. So one reason is because of, the pandemic and the vaccination, right? So Mayor Breed was not happy in January when the school district missed the first reopening deadline. She was saying that it was because the teachers union came up with a new set of requirements for teachers to safely go back to school. So one of the requirement was to get vaccinated if it is in red tier. If the right now, I think we're in purple tier. So if the guideline from SF Department of Public Health drop down to orange tier, is that orange tier? Drop down to red tier, then the teachers union agrees to go back to school if everyone is vaccinated. If it drops down to orange tier, then no vaccination is needed. However, vaccination is becoming an issue because the vaccination takes 2 doses, right? So first dose, and then wait a month to take the second dose, and then wait 2 more weeks for the second dose to kick in and work. So it's gonna be a month and a half. So if assuming everything goes well, we are looking at into late April before we can reopen, right? So Mayor Breed has make it a urgent priority to make sure teachers can be vaccinated. Teachers is being scheduled to be priority tier 1B, not 1A. 1A is 65 years or older frontline worker, healthcare workers. So tier 1B is as close as possible to, get vaccines. So even that, all the appointments are booked up. So Mayor Breed just did something. Basically, she requested 5,000 codes from the California state to give priority to teachers, and frontline workers. And among those 5,000 codes, 2,700 of them are allocated for wave 1 and wave 2 teachers and staff. That's about 24 elementary schools, prioritizing special ed kids as well as TK, pre-K up to 2nd grades. And then the school board is kind of thinking that, well, we that's fine, but then we want vaccination to be administered at school site instead of having to go to Moscone Center. So that's another differences right now. Even though vaccine is being prioritized, but people are not happy with where to take the vaccine. So the second point is that SF Department of Public Health is already signaling that they're going to downgrade the pandemic thing to orange tier in 2 weeks. So they're basically skipping the red tier and they just go straight to orange tier. That means the school can reopen without any vaccination for teachers. With that, there's a third point that the labor agreement is still, negotiation is still happening between the school district and the UESF. There are two things that they're debating about. One thing is where to get the vaccine, or if who and where, when everybody can get the vaccination. The second thing that they are debating and having a big difference is on the in-person instruction hours and schedule. The SFUSD Central basically saying that they want to have in-person instructions 5 days a week and for 5 hours each day. So basically 5 full days of in-person instructions. But the UESF can only agree to 14 to 16 hours a week for in-person instructions. Basically, they only wanted maybe 2 to 3 hours each day, half day, and then swap out the morning class for one group of students and then the afternoon class for the other group of students, and do it for four days. And then the 5th days will be distance learning. So that's a big difference on the format of how to do in-person instructions, right? So and it seems like that it's hard to get compromise on at this point. So we are, I got interviewed by this Chronicle newspaper. So my idea is basically saying that we should delegate all of these format and negotiation to each individual school and each teacher. They should have the right to say, how do I want to run my school? How do I want to support my kids and families, right? Because every school is different. You know, this is a chart that breaking down on who wants to come back to school. And we can see that the Asian community is the lowest percentage, only 30% wants to come back to in-person learning. The white community is the highest, it's 80%. And then the Latino community is 62%, the Black community is 62%. So even, you know, that is pretty significant. So overall is over, most of the categories is over 60%. So that those are pretty significant in that this number is growing because they did a survey the end of December. There was only like 40% of people wanted to come back, but now is over 60%, 60, 70%. So the number of people wants to come back is growing. And then the families are organizing. So they organized 3 rallies in the past month. And the 3rd rally I went to, there were over 2,000 adults and their kids, and then, you know, and plus their dogs, you know, 2,000 people, you know, just like went back to back between the City Hall and 555 Franklin. It was just like 4 people, north and south and left and right. So, and they are planning to do another one on March 13, marking the 1-year anniversary of school closing. So I think the parents are frustrated about like the priority of the school district, school board, that they are doing renaming and changing of law while they should be focusing on reopening. So the renaming was a mandatory thing. So they pick 44 schools and mandate those schools to have to come up with new in high school, Washington, Jefferson, Hoover, basically all the precedent, all 9 precedents were being taken down. And then for Lowell, it's a 2-week fast track approval. So a lot of people are not happy with the processes of making the changes that are not with the priorities, and they don't have extensive community input. So instead of taking a year or 2 to gather community inputs and give community the choice of renaming their school or not, or, you know, for the low incidents, that, you know, having the time to talk about the pros and cons and how to do it, it just happened in 2 weeks. So people are not happy about that. Because of this recall effort, the renaming process is being stopped. So they're going to put a hold on renaming until they can find, and also there's a lot of flaw with how they did the renaming. So they're going to put a pause on that, and then maybe they said they're going to come back later. However, with the recall effort, in 2 weeks that this website gone up, 7,000 people have signed up to volunteer for recall. They need 70,000 signatures to recall the school board. If they have 7,000 people signed up already, meaning that each volunteer only needs to get 10 signatures, and the school board probably is going to having a danger of being recalled. In addition, one last thing, sorry, there's a group of parents wants to do charter amendments to change the structure of the school board. Right now, the school boards are direct elected, and only 17% of voters vote for school board, and they don't even know who those people are. So people wanted to think about maybe have a better accountability, maybe put it under the mayor's office, maybe have a split appointment, just like a SFMTA board, like the planning commission or something like that. So that, and they also want the school board to have better reflection of the community. I mean, the school community, like people who are in the school community, maybe they can get to be appointed or voted in or something like that. So there are a lot of like different talks going on how to restructure the school board, but none of those are solidified at this point. What is solidified is that there is a recall effort happening, and it's gaining huge momentum. That's all I have. Thank you.
That's it? Are you sure?
Sorry.
I know that you had some information. I had no idea. It was so in depth. Boy, that was good. Okay. I was reminded that Pops is not taking a position whether to be for or against the recall of the school board. That is up to all of you as individuals, but Pops will take no position on that. But thank you for enlightening us on the chaos that is the school board right now. I'm sure it's not an easy task for them. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, questions. Yes.
Albert, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I have a quick question about that. Having 2 kids in middle school, APG, there is a rumor that middle school and high schoolers may not even go back next semester. Is there, Josephine, do you know anything about that?
Yep. So I think maybe David Wong can talk about it. I didn't know David is here. So my understanding is they are only targeting opening up to 3rd grade for up to 64 elementary schools. So wave 1 is 12 schools, wave 2, 12 schools, and then the rest of the elementary schools, it's wave 3. So there's no talk about middle school, there's no talk for high school.
Yeah, right now wave 1 and 2 is basically saying for K through 2 and for special needs, those are wave 1 and 2. My daughter's in 4th, so she's not even gonna be, I don't even know when she'll go back to school, if she goes back this semester or not. So, you know, it's kind of like smoke and mirrors, right? They're saying, yeah, we're going to get the kids back in school. Which kids are you guys really talking about? You know, just young kids, which is fine because they need it, because they're younger, they can't deal with Zoom as much. But unfortunately, for the third, fourth, fifth, middle school, high school, it's not in their, I don't know where it's in their view right now, but it's frustrating. I mean, it's very frustrating that we're coming on to a year and they never really had a true action plan. I think the plan was, we hope the virus just goes away and we can get the schools back. But that wasn't going to happen. They didn't do anything over the summer. Fall hit them. Winter came along. And, that's why there's a serious thing for a recall. Like, I understand it's not just the board, it's the union also. You got to work with both. So that's why the private schools are able to go in. There's no union. So it's like, hey, we're going to get teachers. We're going to get kids in here. And they have more funding. But it's just a sad state of affairs right now. And I don't know what's going to happen with the older kids. Sorry, I'm cooking dinner too.
Because actually, when I said next semester, what's buzzing is that they're not even going to go back in the fall. Is what's buzzing right now through the middle school and high school parents. It's devastating.
Happens with this whole pandemic, how many people could probably get vaccinated and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah,
it all depends on because the kids can't get vaccinated yet, right? So that's kind of huge. Although the teachers can get vaccinated, the kids still can't, at least not yet. So
okay, well, thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other questions out there? That is really sad to hear. I didn't know it was that bad that all the other upperclassmen are not able to get in.
Oh, last year seniors didn't get anything. This year seniors going to be a drive-by hello kind of thing. So I feel bad for the incoming, the junior, the senior year. Are they going to deal with this all over again? At least at the beginning, or middle school going to high school, or elementary going to middle school? It's tough. Yeah. And my biggest frustration is with the union, they're doing Zoom, and I don't get it. They're basically, it's been from the beginning, they are only required to do a minimum of 120 minutes of Zoom a day. That's 2 hours, right? I'm thinking, what happens to the rest of the day? Why do we only get 2 hours? So I'm thinking, what do our kids do at their school? I don't think they only teach for 2. I understand there's break time, there's lunch time, there's whatever, but I would imagine 3 to 4 hours would be not out of the question, and even with this going back to school for twice a week, district came back, we want you to come back 2 full days. Union comes back, says, we'll come back 2 days for half a day. And that didn't make any sense. So what's the point of doing that? It's a strain on the parents, right? Even if you say, okay, half the kids go back half the day, then the other half comes in later in the afternoon. How are parents supposed to juggle that kind of stuff? Sorry, need to get out my soapbox.
Okay, no, it's good to hear. I was not aware of it too, so that is an excellent experience. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and if there's no other questions here, thanks for all that in-depth information. Okay, so I guess lastly, Wes, you have something on social media creative content here.
Yes. So this goes a little bit beyond just social media, but also a little bit more of just helping with digital stuff that we as a board can do, but also what some of our members would kind of like to see from POPs moving forward. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. All right, cool. I take it y'all see the slides. 1 second. All right. So about a month ago, I had met with Les, and one of the things that we had talked about was, while we're able to share a lot of the content that comes from small businesses, as well as some of the stuff that has happened around the neighborhood, we do lack a lot of original content, of ways to engage with folks remotely. I think POP's greatest strength has always been, having a hands-on presence, whether it was through Movies in Macoppin, doing our merchant walks, but especially with COVID-19 and moving forward, we want to start thinking a little bit more digitally, right? And so with social media, one of the things I love about it is that it's your place for information, for things around the neighborhood, for places to go, for things that are happening, but also it's a way for us to express who we are as POPs. One of the reasons I fell in love with this was because of these two things, right? My first POPs meeting, I was asked to speak about dispensaries coming up in the neighborhood, but also Albert right after asked me to kind of help out with Movies in the Coppin. So I really want to kind of give that taste of what POPs is. So the three main core ideas that I really want to talk about are how do we attract new people? So this kind of consists of a little bit more of the flashy, a little bit more of the eye candy, a little bit more of, you know, the things you can share and kind of put in groups. I don't know if folks are in the Sunset District group on Facebook, but you know, that's obviously a hot spot for a lot of folks. We also want to continue to add to our network. We want to keep building with the folks that we have here today, as well as other merchants, other residents, other neighbors. And we also want them to take action. We want them to stay engaged with their community, as well as help support POPs through different factors. There you go. So some of the ways that I see that us moving forward to attract more folks are sticking to the Sunset stories. I think, especially if in this neighborhood, there's little niches that I think folks outside don't really recognize. You know, East Side, you have so much going on, but out here we're kind of known as the sleepy kind of neighborhood. We're considered more San Mateo than San Francisco in a lot of ways. And so some of the stuff that I wanted to do was highlight a lot of the things that I know I love about the Sunset, and I think other folks would kind of agree with. I love how I say that as I move right into a controversial topic, I know of some folks, but the Great Highway with its closure, I know there's been a lot of talk about it, but I would love to kind of dive a little bit more in. The farmers market, I think, is also a great opportunity. And I know Peter's actually in here too, and you know, highlighting a little bit more of the art around the neighborhood, I think would be amazing, and kind of just telling the stories that I think folks really have grown up around, but haven't really shared about. This includes also highlighting a lot of our small businesses. So continuing with merchant spotlights, as well as, I know, a little bit of nepotism on foot, but going around and just seeing the corridors for ourselves. I think what this ties into as well is, you know, issues that we as a community really face. So one of the ways that I thought about this was for SFMTA, whether it's doing a quick piece with one of their, you know, board members or a director or someone along those lines, just taking a walk and kind of putting together that piece just so, you know, neighbors on the other side of the district don't know it's like, oh, you know, they're just trying to stand in the way of public transportation. Rather seeing it for how we've been seeing it and kind of humanizing some of the things that we've been facing. And so I really love the idea of just going around and just adding that personal element to a lot of things. Keeping with adding folks. So one of the things that we want to do too is just making sure that folks are engaged. It's not just, you know, share and tweet, but making sure that we have a way of growing ourselves. So West Side Bonfires kind of reminds me of the way that, you know, we have little panels. I think for things like Board of Education, for MTA, for a lot of these issues that we talk about tonight, I'm sure we can go on for an hour and a half, like hosting our own forum about it. And there's only so much time we have on nights like this, but I think also kind of reserving time and really highlighting some of these things on their own as we see fit would be really nice. Reformatting and plugging our meetings in new ways. I think this just goes back to graphic design, just making everything look a little nicer, looking a little bit more formal, and trying to expand beyond just our emailing list, right? So that means through Facebook, social media, kind of diving into that as well. And to kind of copy off of something that we used to do, it's obviously a lot harder with us being remote, but getting an inside look at small businesses through a Discover Your District, right? So whether that, you know, Albert, you want to go and like highlight Great Wall and kind of show off what it is, and you want to build a birdhouse for folks live on Zoom for them to kind of copy and do at home as well, all the power to you. You know, we want to make sure that we're engaging with folks and kind of getting them to, you know, see us a little bit more. And lastly, we want to make sure that we have them to do something. Putting out all this great content is great, but we want to make sure that we're coming up with something that is able to support and kind of falls in line with Pops's mission, right? To enrich the neighborhood. Petitions are obviously a great way to get folks to get more engaged, whether that is, talking about, again, SFMTA, putting it out there, highlighting it and getting folks to kind of come around and really build around some of the issues that we need a better job of keeping folks in touch with, right? I mean, we kind of have the same and regular group that kind of comes into these meetings, but really kind of getting people on board, and just as simple as, typing in your name, your zip code, hitting enter, and it's sending a letter to whether it's Supervisor Marr's office, whether it's MTA, whoever or whatever our cause is at the time. I was thinking about doing workshops, whether it's for, new businesses who have a hard time kind of like, what are the next steps, right? And that means working with OEWD, planning, DBI, and other folks, just to understand, the basics of how to get your business up and running, and some of the basic support networks that are already existing. And then, of course, volunteer opportunities. This is going to be a lot harder. This probably wouldn't resume for a long time, or until we're all vaccinated and able to enjoy each other in person again. But I know there's a lot that I kind of just put out there, and I'm obviously not saying we should go for it all at once, but I kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity to hear back from folks about kind of the stuff they would like to see digitally, whether that's, something you've seen yourself, something that you want to do, or even just touching on a topic that really means something to you. I know for me, ecology is like one of my things that I nerd out about. So I can go on all about the native plant life and the sand dunes of the Sunset, but it's things like that that we really want to kind of dive into. So yes, Michael.
Yeah, this is Michael Durand with the Sunset Beacon. We have a website, which is the richmondsunsetnews.com, and we average more than 15,000 views a month. So I like the idea when highlighting the local businesses. If you want to do a monthly column, I'd be happy to publish that for you.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, and so it's things like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So my email is editor@richmondsunsetnews.com. But just let me know and we can talk about it.
Cool. I'll send you a message later after this.
Good.
But yeah, so any feedback would be great. This is also something I can keep working on internally, but I kind of wanted us to get folks' feedback, know that this is in the works. Whether if there's something here that you like, that you want to kind of spearhead as well, that'd be much appreciated. But things that you think are more important than others that we should be working on. But stuff along those lines, I'd love to hear back from folks.
Well, I'm glad to hear this for the first time.
Yeah.
But hey, I love the fact that I've got officers and executive directors that take up the banner and run with it. And I think this is just a great idea. I know that we've had some fits and starts about doing social content online before, and it's definitely not one of my strong points. So I admit that straight up, and to hear that you guys, Les, you, Wesley, and perhaps others would like to take the reins on that and make that move forward, I'm all for it. You've got my support. I would love to have OEWD planning and DBI perhaps come to one of our meetings and help, like dissect and demystify some of those departments, because I'm sure it's intimidating. I'm a general contractor and I can kind of navigate myself away through DBI and planning, but there's a lot of rules in there, and there's a lot of moving parts, and it is intimidating and expensive. It's a lot of money going, when you get permits, it's not cheap. So sure. I think it would be a good idea to perhaps have them as a guest, and maybe if that works out and there's a lot of interest, talk about a workshop. That's really expanding Pop's role in the neighborhood. If we're gonna go through all these things, I'm gonna have to ask you to hire another person, Wesley, to
Yeah, and again, I'm not expecting to have, content coming out daily with all these things. A lot of it is just stuff that folks want to work on. I know there's people here that have their interests and have the stuff they care about. You don't even have to do the filming. Just if you have an idea or topic that you think should be covered, like a little, like 5-minute not even 5 minutes, even shorter probably, but a quick video or anything along those lines. I think this is just also an intro, is like, I'm here for that. So if you want to shoot me an email too, I'll put my thing in the chat real quick. But yeah, other than that, my email is always open if y'all have any feedback. So thank you. And
Okay.
this would also just continue with the newsletter as well. So.
All right. Thank you, Wesley. That was really nice, very enriching. And I just want to add, speaking of enriching, there was a press release by Mayor London Breed a couple days ago that a gentleman named, I forgot the guy's first name, it's Mr. Larson. He was a philanthropist, and he started a project called Avenue Greenlight, which he wrote a check to donate to help small businesses to the tune of $1.7 million. And that was placed in the care of the Council of District Merchants. And so right now, I'm hearing from there that they're looking to spread, I think, something to the tune of $50,000 to every merchant corridor to use to help them in marketing and supporting their small businesses and bringing everybody up to speed in reopening. So I look forward to hearing perhaps ideas of how we can maybe use these funds. I have to send in a letter anyway to kind of describe what we plan to do. And so anyway, I have a couple of little ideas, but I'm more than happy to hear any of yours when the time comes. Just, you can of course all email me at president@sf-pops.com. Happy to hear any of your ideas. Okay. And then lastly, before I adjourn the meeting tonight, I was working with SFMTA since last year to prepare the project that was happening in front of 40th and 41st Avenue on Terraville Street, as I have talked in previous meetings. And they have really done a job messing up the merchants down there. And it's been very, very painful. I know they got their parking today, and that's great. But, there was a marketing campaign. There was some merchant support that was supposed to go down, and none of it happened really until almost where the project is over. It's supposed to end sometime in mid-March, but I had recently just got a bunch of posters that will tell people that Lower Sunset, Lower Terraville, western part of Terraville is open for business during construction. I finally got the posters, and I want to put them out. So I'm just wondering if I can get volunteers. It's due to rain this weekend, so I'm wondering maybe to pick it up on Monday or Tuesday to do some of this work and put on some lampposts and stuff. So do I have anyone that would like to volunteer to help me out? Great.
I'm happy to help, but it would have to be later in the week. My front of the week is packed with class, so.
Okay. We can maybe even do it early evening. Okay. What's available for you, Wesley?
We can talk a little bit more about this offline, but generally Thursdays and Fridays, I'm free.
Okay. And what I mean about putting up posters, it's basically like going up to lampposts and zip tying these rather nicely made posters. The posters will have, like open for business, and then in the, like let's say the corridor at 39th and 40th, it'll label all the businesses that are there. It'll label all the businesses there down 46th and 47th. We can put those there. We can put them at, key places like bus stops, the streetcar turnaround, and Inset Boulevard. And so anyway, that's what we have right now. So anyway, it's a little too late, but it's better than nothing. And hopefully we'll have a better start when they do segment B, which is Sunset Boulevard, all the way up to West Portal. And Mike,
Albert,
Mike Durant,
would you like, oh,
Sorry.
sorry, would you like some posters at the farmer's market? We
I
can put
was,
some up. At the farmer's market.
I was gonna do that too. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Angie.
I'll give, we'll pick them up with the Friday, tomorrow's pickup.
Okay. Okay, let's do
Yeah,
that.
Albert,
Wonderful. Michael?
Hello? Yeah,
Yes.
hi. My battery's dying. I just wanted to see if you saw the article that we ran on our website, quoting you and talking about the Taravel project.
I did not.
I shared it on social media, got a lot of comments, a lot of attention. So go to our website, Richmond Sunset News, and yeah, Taravel, so you were quoted. And I shared it on the Sunset District or San Francisco Sunset District Facebook page, and got a lot of comments, a lot of views.
I'd be happy to hear the feedback on that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for putting the word out there, Michael.
You're welcome.
hey, Albert, text me when you're planning to do the flyering. If I'm available, I'll do it too.
Okay. Okay, that sounds great. All right, so I've got Wesley, I've got Alan, and I got me. Okay, I got a little army here. That sounds great. Thank you, guys. I guess that's the end of the meeting. I'd like to adjourn. If anyone has any other comments or announcements? No? All right, great. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.